Okay, so picture this, a city that's growing by 500,000 people every single year. That's Dhaka, Bangladesh. We're talking about a mega city that is absolutely booming. But with all that explosive growth, you get a massive housing challenge. Today, we're not going to talk about the impossible dream of buying a home. Nope. We're going to dive into a smarter, way more flexible solution that's totally reshaping how people in Dhaka live and work. Let's get right into it. So here's the big puzzle that millions are facing. Dhaka is one of the most densely populated cities on the entire planet. And that dream of owning your own place, well, it's just getting further and further out of reach for most people. So what happens when a city's population just keeps climbing, but owning a home becomes a real luxury?
You know, this isn't just one thing. It's kind of like a perfect storm. On one side, you have this relentless urbanization that's just squeezing the city tighter and tighter. And on the other, you've got this rising tide of professionals, expats, folks who have the money, but not necessarily the time or the desire to buy. They want convenience, they want quality, and yeah, they're definitely willing to pay for it. In this collision, it's creating a massive opportunity in the rental market.
And this is exactly where things start to get really interesting. See, the solution isn't just renting in the old school sense. It's a whole new kind of renting. We're talking about a professionally managed, fully serviced experience that feels less like some temporary crash pad and more like a real home. You know, just without that permanent, locked-in commitment.
So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it's so much more than just an apartment that happens to have a couch. Think of it as a turnkey living solution. You literally walk in, drop your bags, and you're home. The Wi-Fi's already on, the kitchen's all set up, the furniture's actually stylish. It's basically apartment as a service. And for a city that's always on the move, that's a total game changer. Right. Now, a successful business isn't just about what you're selling, it's about where you're selling it. And in a city as diverse as Dhaka, you just can't have a one-size-fits-all approach. The real strategy is to build a smart portfolio, pinpointing exactly where the demand is by understanding the unique vibe of different neighborhoods.
First up, Bashundhara. You could think of this area as the workhorse of the portfolio. It's this bustling hub just packed with students and young professionals who are all looking for housing that's affordable and convenient. The rents here, they aren't the highest in the city, but the demand is just off the charts. It's a constant, steady stream of income that provides a really solid foundation for the whole business.
Now, let's contrast that with a place like Uttara. If Bashundhara is the workhorse, then Uttara is the anchor. This is where families and more established professionals come to really put down some roots. They're not just looking for a temporary spot, they want a long-term home. And for the business, what does that mean? Stability, predictability, and way lower turnover costs. And then you have Gulshan. This is the jewel in the crown for sure. This is where the big money is. We're talking embassies, multinational corporations, high-net-worth individuals. They expect the best, and you better believe they're willing to pay top dollar for it. Here, the rents are high, the leases are long, and the tenants are absolutely rock solid. And finally, rounding out our strategy, we have Baridhara. Think of it as the best of both worlds. It's got that prestige you find in Gulshan, but with a more relaxed, residential feel. It attracts a great mix of expats and wealthy locals, which gives the portfolio a really healthy dose of diversification. It's the perfect final piece to balance out the other three locations, creating a business that's truly resilient. Okay, so we've mapped out the strategy behind where to operate. Now let's get into the mechanics of how this business actually runs, day to day. How do you find the right properties in the first place? And most importantly, where's the money coming from?
So, where do you find these apartments? Well, this isn't about endlessly scrolling through generic real estate listings. Now, this is a super targeted approach. You're using specialized platforms like banklamart.com and lease.com.bd. These sites are pretty much the go-to source for high-quality, serviced and furnished apartments, which gives the business a direct pipeline to the best properties out there.
And this isn't a one-trick pony either. The revenue flows in from multiple streams. You've got your base rent, of course, but then you add a premium for the furniture and appliances. That can tack on an extra 15, maybe 20%. Then you charge a service fee for managing all the utilities and maintenance. And on top of that, you sign these lucrative long-term deals with corporate clients. It's a layered approach that creates a really steady, reliable flow of cash.
So, what does it actually take to run this kind of operation smoothly? It all really boils down to three things. First, you have to be absolutely obsessive about managing the properties. That means fixing problems before they even happen and keeping those apartments in perfect condition. Second, you have to be super rigorous when it comes to screening tenants. No exceptions.
And third, you got to be a master of digital marketing, using every tool you can to keep those properties full all the time.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but we all know a successful business isn't just about maximizing profits. It's just as much about minimizing risks. A smart business model sees the challenges coming and already has a plan for when things inevitably go wrong.
Look, every business has risks, but the smart ones have a game plan. What happens if a tenant just stops paying rent? Well, you've got a security deposit and a totally bulletproof contract. What if an apartment sits empty for a bit? You've got a multi-channel marketing machine ready to fire up and get it filled in days. This isn't about crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's about being prepared for the worst.
So after digging into all the nuts and bolts, let's zoom out of it. What does this specific business model in Dhaka really tell us about the future of city living on a much bigger scale?
You see, this isn't just a business plan, it's really a blueprint for growth. The ultimate goal is to create something like the Marriott of renting, right there in Dhaka. That means growing the portfolio, locking in even more corporate clients, and becoming the one trusted, go-to brand for anyone who's looking for a high-quality, hassle-free rental experience.
So what's the bottom line here? It really comes down to this: predictable revenue, controlled risk, and long-term value. This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. It's a solid, sustainable business that is truly built to last.
So, what does this all mean for the future of our cities? As we all seem to be moving towards a more mobile, more flexible way of life, are we actually witnessing the end of ownership as we've always known it? Is this access economy about to take over our last and most personal possession, our homes? It's a huge question, and what's happening in Dhaka right now might just be the very beginning of the answer. Thanks for tuning in.